There are the five faces right there, the majority that upheld the individual mandate and largely has enshrined the healthcare law as we know it into action. They're the four dissenters. An interesting group among them, obviously, Justice Kennedy, an unexpected minority member on the 5-4 decision today. John Hilsenrath, my good friend, colleague, it's great to see you. You had an interesting take on the decision today that whatever the decision was, whether it was for or against the upholding of the law, it was a plus for business because that word we probably use more than any other on this broadcast, uncertainty will be put to rest.
Right. Yeah, you summed it up for me. You could love this this law, and some people do, and you could hate the law, and some people do. But, you know, as I go out and talk to executives and policymakers and Fed officials and economists, I hear over and over again, excuse me, it's been very hard in this environment with so many uncertainties hanging over simple hiring decisions for business executives to make decisions. Uncertainties about what tax rates are going to be, business and personal, about healthcare, about what's happening in Europe. It seems to me that one of the lessons we should be taking today is that anything policymakers can do to take uncertainties off the table might actually help the economy. So to the extent that the Supreme Court did that today, they might have done something good for the economy,
but
regardless
John,
of all the things that you might say about the merits or demerits of the law itself.
Right. Well, I got to say, though, John, uncertainty is a part of all of our lives, has been for the course of human history and will continue to be so. Why are we so worked up? Why are we so worked up and so focused on this idea that uncertainty plagues our lives and we're going to be paralyzed? Like, that's just the human condition.
That's a very valid point. It's a very strong point. You know, go back to 2002 and look at what was going on. That country had been attacked by terrorists, and we were coming, you know, through a tech crash, and corporate profits were being misstated by accounting tricks. There's always periods where there's a lot of uncertainty. What strikes me, though, is I just hear it so often right now from executives. They seem to be putting a lot of weight on it. You know, these are people who are paid to deal with uncertainty, and they put it very high on their list. So you have to give some weight to it. There certainly are some very large ones hanging over the outlook right now. And what I should say is these are uncertainties that are caused by policymakers. Okay, so the uncertainties that we had, say, in 2002 were geopolitical, where, you know, terrorism and, you know, natural disasters. That's stuff you can't predict. These are issues that policymakers can actually control. What are tax rates going to be for the next 10 years? What are spending policies going to be? What is the national healthcare system going to look like? These are uncertainties that they could take off the table if they could make some decisions. And the Supreme Court moved us, and as you said earlier, this isn't necessarily the final verdict, because certainly Republicans are going to try to repeal this bill or this law. But I think there's a lot more certainty that this is the system that we have to operate with going forward.
Well, you know, maybe we've gotten just too coddled as a society to think that uncertainty is going to destroy everything. Maybe we just have to adapt a bit more. John, in the spirit of our good friend Evan Newmark, I'm going to pose the question to you. Is this decision good for America or bad?
Well, I would say the act of making a decision is good for the country and good for the economy because nobody knew what was going to happen. You know, I'm not a healthcare expert. I cannot tell you whether the law is good or bad. I have my personal opinions, which I don't share. But I think the fact that the Supreme Court, you know, reduced the probabilities that something else is going to come out of this, I think it's probably moved us in the direction of good.
All right, John. You're both coddled and incapable of expressing your decision, your opinion.
I just gave you
you're a great
straightforward
American,
answer.
John. Thank you for joining us.